Good afternoon, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, uh, whatever streaming podcast we decide to put this on. Some of you all know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. I'm gonna start this off the same way Sky Hall started off with the NWO. That's why I got the little jean, little cut off. Just everything is symbolic in what I do. It's my first time doing this. Um, I have a I have a group of guys that I'm trying to set up, that I'm going to meet with tomorrow to set this page up to go further. But the reason why that I'm doing this is to speak about daily activities, whether it be politics, relationships. It could be daily things like the weather, video games, like anything. But speaking from, a day-to-day person's perspective, a lot of people that's on YouTube, they speak on things coming from like a high horse perspective, or coming from like they're connected to, people who are behind the scenes. I'm doing this dolo. This is my first time doing something like this. But at the same time, I understand that a lot of people are getting their information in this day and age from the internet. You've seen that with this past election, as far as politics. Like I said, it could be day-to-day things with the weather or just any type of information. Everything is done pretty much online in this era, So um, I'm kind of being like the voice of the voiceless, the black CM Punk, dropping a pipe bomb, sooner than expected. But this is just to get things started off, just to put a voice behind the face, as far as why I'm doing these things. And because there's a lot of things I've been wanting to speak on. I've been quiet for a long time, and especially in this current era, I see a lot of things being done from a feminine perspective. And there's no disrespect to that, I mean, I love the ladies, they definitely have a voice in this, but there's no balance to it. There's no balance to, speaking on things from, the masculine perspective, especially, with us as, black folk. But I'm not singling out just, one group of people or race of people, I'm speaking for all because, all groups we're dealing with a lot of nonsense in this era from a certain extent, especially the men, and a lot of dudes, we've been like the silent majority. We haven't really said much, we kind of speak quietly on things. Like I said, you kind of see that reflected in this past election. Again, this is to start it off. I'm going to be meeting with a couple of my guys tomorrow. And like I said, this is going to be like a four horsemen type of thing, Not to compare myself to someone, but I guess you're looking at Ric Flair. I don't know. The Scott Hall that started off the NWO, the excellence of execution, the best there was, the best there is, and the best there ever will be. The Black Bret Hart. You got to believe in yourself. You got to have faith in yourself. You got to cash in on yourself. If not, then what are we living for? What are we all going through this rat race, just our day-to-day activities, and we're all basically, it's almost like we're programmed, to, just go through this endless cycle, and it's not meant for that. On top of that, you're talking to someone that's read the Bible front to back. That's also aware of the Quran and aware of other levels of spirituality. So I don't limit myself to that, and I don't judge anyone. Everybody in life have their own battles. Whether men, women, or whatever. But unfortunately, in this current era, it's like I'm also a single father. You know, I got one son that's 26 years old. He's grown. I haven't spoke to him in a while, but hopefully he sees this. I also have a 10-year-old son, you know, that I'm trying to inspire. You know, they're in this era, they don't want men to be men. They don't want us to be leaders. They want us to be a bunch of followers. You know, they want us to, you know, follow our women. And that's not God's will. That was never God's intention. When you read the scriptures, there's an order to this. And there's a reason for that. But I say that topic and that subject, you know, for a later date. But I just wanted to pop. I just wanted to get the stream popped off. You know, I just, you know, wanted to, you know, introduce myself to the world. Not that I'm a saint, not that I'm perfect. I'm far from it. I'm just trying to get through this world and survive it like everybody else. But we all have a voice in this. And, you know, when we're born, God has given us all talents. And He's given us all gifts. You can decide to either bury that talent or you can decide to enhance it. I'm just trying to do my part. If this stream or this video helps inspire someone, then I've done my part. But at the end of my life, at the end of the day, I know that I laid it all on the line. You know, at the end of the day, I always looked at myself like I try to compare. I use sports analogies because I know a lot of people can relate to that. And being that me and rest in peace, Kobe Bryant are like pretty much the same age, I looked at it like I'm the Kobe of this, meaning like me starting this, I want at the end of the day, I want people to know that I'm the hardest working man that's doing this. I know this is just the beginning, but you'll see that my actions will match my words. And again, I have a team behind me that I want to be meeting with tomorrow, and you'll see them shortly. That you know they all have their own perspectives, and they all have their own war stories to tell. This is just mine, you know. And again, like I said, it's like I'm noticing that it's like they're pushing, and it's not that you know our women and our sisters shouldn't have. They should have a voice. You know, their perspective in life is completely different from ours. Their experience is completely different from ours. With that said, there's no balance. They're like trying to silence the masculine voice, the masculine energy. You ain't gonna do that with me. I got a son to raise in this environment. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna know that, you know what, I did my part. You know, my children are gonna see I did my part. And again, like I said, my page, what I'm gonna be talking about, like I said, politics, relationships, sports, video games, um, things from a spiritual perspective. You know, from a day to day brother, I'm nobody special. You know, it's nothing out of the ordinary about me. I'm just an average guy, just trying to make it like everybody else. But hopefully, you know, when people see this, they'll feel my energy, they'll feel my intensity, they'll feel my passion, and they see that I mean business. You know, I'm from Washington D.C., South Side, Southeast. Started off 118 34th Street Southeast, apartment 104, Greenway, for those who are familiar. Moved to Stone Ridge, apartment G42. Went to Benton, went to Kimball, went to Sousa Junior High, then I moved to Maryland. Shout out to all my folks that's, you know, in the DMV. But I always said I was joking with my coworkers. People that's from DC, we don't say DMV. We say we're from DC. And we also say which part. Like me, I'm from the southeast, northeast line, but on the southeast side. But much love to everybody because I'm not trying to limit this to one area. It's just ironic that I'm right in the backyard of the United States government. You know, I'm also I'm also currently a federal contractor. I'm not gonna get into details with that, but these are things that pay the bills and provide for my daily livelihood. So I'm in this rat race like everybody else, you know. But again, this page is to motivate, to inspire, to share information, for us to grow, as a community, as a people. And when I say that, I mean all of us. I'm not limited to black folk, and I hate that term because black is a black is a shade. It's a color. It's not categorizing a group. You talk to other groups of people, they know exactly where they're from. They say they're from Guatemala, they're from Mexico, they're from Ireland, they're from Italy. Us, we just say we're black. But again, Song of Solomon, chapter 1, I believe it's verse 5 and 6, where it said, "Look not upon me, for I am black, for the sun hath looked upon me." I'm going to save the rest of that for later. I'm just giving you snippets of the perspective that I'm coming from. And, in watching, I get a lot of my information from YouTube as well. Shout out to the guys that inspire me. Shout out to, first and foremost, the Angry Man. That guy, check out his channel. I wish I had the opportunity to donate, contribute a lot more, but I'm definitely paying attention. He's definitely an inspiration and motivation. Also, Anton Daniels. He's definitely an inspiration and a motivation. These guys, I look at them like kind of YouTube mentors, but at the same time, we're all grown men in this. These guys are the same, pretty much in the same age bracket as me. I'm currently in my mid 40s. I'm not a little kid. I've been through life. Like I said, I'm a father. I got one son that's pretty much fully grown. It's 26 years old. I have another son that's 10 years old. That I take care of and I share custody with his mother. And these are the topics that I'm going to be touching on. As far as like these court custody laws. Excuse me if it didn't come out clearly. These court custody laws and how a lot of these things are outdated. How basically they incentivize, unfortunately, a lot of women to destroy their families instead of resolve things. But again, a lot of us men in this era, we're paying for the sins of our fathers. That's pretty much what's going on. It's like they want some get back, but it's not balanced. It's not, because all it's doing is creating further separation between men and women. How we interact. You go outside and you look and you see everyone's face down on their cell phone. As a guy, you can't even approach a woman without being looked at as a creep, or you got some ulterior motives. Maybe your mama raised you right. So open the door, to show manners. It does not mean you're a simp. It does not mean you're a chump. You're just trying to do the right thing. But I mean, unfortunately, we live in a society that, glorifies bad behavior, aka, the bad guy. So shout out to Sky Hall, rest in peace. Say hi to the bad guy. It's Scarface, but Mars in the right place. Mars in the right place. At the end of the day, I know that I laid it all out on the line. And, I did everything in my power to try to reach as many people as possible. And like I said, you're talking to somebody that's read the Bible front to back. I've been in relationships that, unfortunately, because of my past behavior, that didn't work out. I had to learn from, the error of my ways. But at the same time, I don't demonize women. I don't shun women. I love the ladies. And beauty is across the spectrum. God did a wonderful thing when he made them. when he made y'all. If there's some women out here watching, you know, that goes for all colors of the spectrum, from my sisters to the white ladies, you know, and you're Asian, my Latinas, you know, you know, all of them, to my Asian sisters. I love y'all. But unfortunately, a lot of women in this era are not, they're not fulfilling their purpose, meaning that they were meant to complement us. They were meant to help us in this journey in life, some of us as men. It says in the scriptures that, you know, they're to help me. They're to help me. They're not the main character to this. You know, they don't want men to see the value in ourselves. We place our value in, you know, unfortunately, in how many sexual partners we've been with, how many women we done chopped down. You know what I mean? How much money we got in our bank account. You can't take none of this stuff with you. You come in this world alone, you leave the same way. The only thing that lasts and what matters are the relationships that you make while you're down here. The impact that you make in people's lives while you're down here. Men and women. Your children, you know. But, you know, as men, I understand that it starts and it ends with us. And me, I'm just trying to do my part. That's it. I'm no one special. I'm not trying to glorify myself through above anyone else. God has humbled me. I wish I had decided to make this page years ago, but timing is right and everything happens for a reason. You know, so, you know, God willing, I get more opportunities. I don't want to say too much from the beginning. I'm just giving you little snippets. As far as, like I said, from a spiritual standpoint, I'll just say this. You notice that, and it's no disrespect to no other religions. And I don't like that term, because your relationship with the Creator is personal. You come in this world by yourself and you leave the same way. You don't, you know, so what you're doing there, and a lot of people, they do stuff to magnify themselves in front of other people. But God examines your heart. He knows your heart if your heart's in the right place. So, like I said, I noticed that, especially with the media, they don't clown other religions. It's something about Christianity. It's something about speaking about Jesus Christ. And trust me, I've done my research. I know about Yahshua ben Yosef and Yahweh. God is not that superficial that he's going to look, oh, he's calling me by he's not calling me by my proper name, or the letter J wasn't invented yet. He's looking at your heart. That's what he's looking at. He knows that you're trying to reach out and communicate to him. So miss me with that superficial stuff. But I noticed that Christianity is the main religion that's being clowned, being ridiculed. It's always Jesus Christ being ridiculed. It's always Christians being ridiculed. Why is that? Must be some truth to that. In the Quran, they talk about Jesus Christ. I know they look at him like another prophet, like Abraham, like Elijah, like Moses. But they mention him. They acknowledge his existence. When you read the Bible, they don't mention anything about Muhammad. Now, again, that's no disrespect, but you have to research it. Hey, listen to Farrakhan. He talks about Christ too. They know what time it is. At the end of the day, God's looking at your heart. I'm not trying to condemn anybody. I'm not. I think it's more to this after this life than what people talk about. But again, like I said, these are subjects that I'm going to touch on later on. Like I said, as far as relationships, they're trying to put the woman over the man. You can look at this country. Why is Mother's Day before Father's Day? When God made man first. These are the same people that go to church every day. They always give glory to mama. And don't get me wrong, I love my mother too. I do. I thank for everything she's done for me. I'll share more on my background later on. But there's an order to this. And it starts and it ends with us as men. Even women, you can ask these women. You want to be with a dude, you got to tell what to do. You want to be with a dude that you got to, what's the point of him being there? That's why a lot of these women act like they don't need us, because they're like, I'm the one, I'm going to work every day, I'm doing this and that. What are you here for? But again, you strip away these little power lines, you strip away the pavement, you take it back to the beginning form, to where you got to get everything out the mud, you got to hunt, do all this other stuff, survive, fight, all that stuff. Oh, I guarantee you, these women will be like, oh yeah, I bet you they need a man there. We've done created an environment to where it's become so easy to where they're under the illusion that they don't need us, which is far from the truth. Because the way God designed them to only be happy when they're in their natural form with your nurturers. But unfortunately, it seems like, just like I said, with us as men, we're paying for the sins of our fathers. It seems like a lot of women, not all, but it seems like, unfortunately, some women, I won't even say a lot, I'll just say some women, are carrying on the bitterness and the anger of their mothers. And but some of the stuff that they passed it on to their daughters, and unfortunately, they're carrying on to the relationships with the men that they're dealing with. You know, but I'm gonna say these are snippets. We talk about sports. My favorite sport is basketball. It's funny because when I was young, my favorite sport was football. First athlete that I looked up to, that I seen, because I used to come home from school and my step-pops, he used to be watching the NFL films. They had a dramatic war music. And like, I looked up to Walter Payton, you know what I'm saying, for the Chicago Bears. You know, but again, like I said, I'm from DC, so I'm a Redskin fan, true and true. One of my teams, I also like the Indianapolis Colts, you know. But my favorite sport was basketball, because I remember that the first memory I remember turning on my TV, and I had a little 13-inch black and white TV. I was in DC. I don't want to say we was poor, but if it was stages to this, poor was here, we was right there. We was a step above that. Had a little 13-inch black and white, but I remember the first image I saw on TV was Isaiah Thomas. I can't remember if he had just was the MVP of the All-Star game or won the championship or what. This was like 88, 89. And I remember he was hugging his mother. And his mother was just hugging him, was like, baby, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And, you know, at the end of the day, I definitely want my mama to be proud of me. You know, my father as well. Shout out to my step-pops for being there since I was a child. Rest in peace to my biological father, who I'm here representing for. But not to get too serious, back to the basketball tip. Yeah, I started off first thing my scene was the Pistons. When I was younger, I couldn't even stand Michael Jordan. I wasn't a fan. I'd be talking to some of these little youngins about, oh, you a Jordan Glazer and this and that. Like, if you knew me back in the day, I was not a fan of Mike. I didn't start rocking with Mike till 96. I rocked with Mike because I seen how bad he went. I seen when he came back after his father died, which I could relate to. And I seen when he came back and he lost to Orlando. And he came back 95, 96 with a vengeance. Came back brolic, best shape of his life. You know, showing people they thought he was done. And he was like, nah, let me show you something. Because these dudes ain't at my level. You know, came back, swept the Magic, did his thing. He earned my respect. Same thing with Kobe. Kobe's my personal favorite player ever. I'm going to speak on the order as far as my top 5, top 10. We'll talk about that later. But when Kobe first came in the league, I was like, man, who's this ninja, young? This dude, He walking like Mike, trying to talk like Mike, sound like Ninja. You ain't Mike, y'all. Like, what are you doing? What made me rock with Cole was after the fact. He was like, after all the controversy, Colorado, I'm gonna save that for later. Situation with Shaq. He was like, oh, you think I'm a sidekick? So y'all forgot when Shaq fouled out with Indiana in 2000 when I was like this, and let the team know that I got this. Y'all gonna see what I'm made of. When he missed them shots against Utah in '97, he shot them air ball. Shaq even said himself he wasn't gonna take them last shots. He didn't want the loss on the game to be blamed to me. He showed you that this dude had the heart of a champion. He told people, oh, okay, the narrative is what? Oh, I'm a sidekick? So I can't win without this big dude. All right, well, you know what? Y'all make a decision. Y'all want to go with the big man? Y'all want to go with me? Because I'm going to show you what I'm about. Because y'all see every day in practice. Big fella know what's up. He know what time it is. And Kobe ended up going to 3 more. One back-to-back. Lost the first one because his team wasn't ready. But as far as that top 10, or as far as that top 5, like I said, Kobe's right there on Mike's heels. Young guy, LeBron, little shortcut, little excuse. He sets a bad example for a lot of these kids who think that's what a winner is. You went to 10 finals in a weak conference. Every time your team was starting to get depleted, you jumped. Well, how does that saying go? When the going get tough, the tough get going. Every time things got tough, he bounced. He stepped out. That's not a leader. A leader takes accountability. When things go bad, you accept it, but you don't point the finger. These are the things that I even told my son. As far as like why me and, his mother aren't together. Shout out to her, man. God bless her. Much love to her. I said, Daddy wasn't following God's will. That's on me. I don't blame her. I know everything happens for a reason. But that's what a leader's supposed to be. Things go bad, you accept accountability. You can't get the glory when you win. And then when you lose, blame everybody else. That's the weak example. It's pathetic. That ain't how we built as men. And a lot of these little youngins out here, they got daddy issues. That's the real reason why they conducted. But again, I must say, I'm giving y'all little snippets of the things that I'm going to be talking about. As far as the politics, this last election, the silent majority spoke. The silent majority spoke. They seen what was going on in this nation. Not that either side is perfect. I've always said there's 2 sides of the same demonic bird. With that said, you can't vote for people that you like. You vote for policy. You vote for things that represent, your life. And what's going on again? The silent majority have spoken. It's the reason why we have what we have in there. I work for the federal government. I honor my position. No matter who's in there, I'm going to do my job. But again, the silent majority have spoken. And a lot of my people need to get off this demon crap plantation. Y'all are programmed. Every last one of these cities, these blue cities, every last one of the major cities is Democratic, whether it be D.C., where I'm from, Chicago, L.A., what else? Miami. You get to any of the major cities. They all got all this turmoil, all these financial issues. You keep voting the same way, and you expect a different result. Last time I checked, they said that is the definition of crazy. To do the same thing over and over again, expect a different result. It's not going to happen. I'm not even going to touch on the scriptures. I just drop a little snippet about, about how the woman is not supposed to usurp authority over the man. This ain't my personal opinion. That's in the Word of God. It's in the Bible. But y'all continue to want to mess this order up. Shout out to my sister who passed away back in 2023. I miss her. She gave me a great perspective on things from the feminine standpoint. One of the last things she told me, we had conversations, because she had frustrations about relationships. I always wanted to hear things from her perspective, because I'm like, I'm not going to categorize all women. I know it's good women out here. I know it is. My sister was one of them. My mother's one of them. And I know there's many more. My son's mother's are definitely that too, even though none of us are perfect. But with that said, I remember one of the things that my sister told me, and she said, men are the ones who's supposed to bring order to this. That's why God made us the head. You put women in that position, it creates chaos. They talk about that in the book of Isaiah. Again, I'm giving you snippets today. I'm going to save that for later. Thank you for your time. You're going to be hearing more from me. Again, in the words of the infamous Scott Hall, rest in peace, when he first came out in 96. That's why I got the little jean jacket on with the NWO. You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. But you will.